It's not money. It's not bills. It's not your love life. It's not your family. It's not your friends. What's the one thing that you can focus on that will completely transform everything bad in your life to good? Hello, my name is Patrick. I'm an American Shaman. Today we're going to talk about the only thing you really need to focus on, the only thing that you really need to do, and that is to awaken. We're going to talk about that today on the Shaman Patrick Show. Let's go.
He was once a storm in human form, sharp tongue, cold soul, heart worn and torn, living like a ghost who missed his grave till the spirit sang out and called him brave. He got rewired by the great unknown, heard the call like a dial tone to the bone. So pull up a chair, enjoy the glow. This is the Shaman Patrick Show.
Hey, if you were like me, you probably thought all you had to do was have a spiritual awakening, right? Boom, I'm awakened. Ah. And you think that everything is better now. It is that instant spiritual awakening. Many people experience a period of bliss, like, because everything's new. The way you see the world is new. You have compassion. You have tolerance. It's all love, man. It's all love. But eventually, you come back down to earth. You come back down to earth and you realize, oh, I have more work to do. Because it's not just the awakening that changes you. What else changes is your understanding of other people and programming and conditioning. And this phase of awakening can take years, maybe even decades for some people. You know, you can recognize that you have an ego one time, and then everything after that is removing that programming and conditioning. And that's what you do. That's the work. Deprogramming yourself. De-brainwashing yourself. Because these things are hung up in our social lives, in our family lives. You know, every family has a field, like a morphic field. And your awakening is when you get out of that field. And they feel it. A lot of times families try to drag us back in to their asleepness. You can't tell them they're asleep. You can't even hint that they're asleep. What can you do? Be the change. Be the awakened one. You can try to say, hey, come along. It's a lot better over here. But they're like fish in water. Fish don't see the water that they swim in. If you tried to tell a fish, hey, you're in water, they'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? I'm just swimming around. So while, you know, the non-awakened people in our life that we're socially connected to, they won't see that what they're doing is wrong. And what they're doing is not wrong. And in many ways, what they're doing is helping you awaken even more. And I know it sucks. I know it doesn't feel good. I know it can leave you feeling isolated, alone. I mean, it can. It's very sad. For many of us, we have to just say goodbye. Goodbye. I'm sorry. You want to stay asleep? Well, I don't want to stay asleep. I want to awaken even further. But then you could also lean harder into it. You could spend even more time with them. You could spend even more time on the phone. You could call them more. You could do all that stuff. That doesn't really work, but you're willing to do that. So the awakening changes your social life. It changes your family life. Can also change your diet. Previously you might have gone and lived Moss and scooted through the Taco Bell at 2 a.m. to get a Crunchwrap Supreme and God knows what other fresh horror the people that run Taco Bell have come up with. Now you're not really able to do that. You might find that those types of foods don't agree with you physically, emotionally, or spiritually. You can't go to Wendy's because you realize that the food you eat matters, but also the way it's prepared and the people who cook it. In some ashrams, they want the most isolated, high vibe person to stir the rice. And they're a designated rice stirrer, and they're just in bliss stirring that rice. And they're putting all of that into the food. So if you're going to go through a drive-through where it's some girl's second job, she hates her job, she hates her customers, she even hates the food, and then you're going to let her give you a biggie bag full of food for you to eat with all that hatred and anger? Give me your card. Don't even say thank you. In a lot of ways, some of these fast food workers are fucking pissed that you dared drive up and place an order. How dare you? How dare you interrupt me scrolling through TikTok? And that's another thing after an awakening. The stuff actually doesn't make you feel so good. You look at Karen videos or videos of people falling and it just doesn't make you feel too good. So like you used to could be on Facebook for hours. And now you just open it and you just get icky feelings. Feels like gossip, and it is. It feels like gossip, and it is. But all of these things, even the things you don't want to do, these are opportunities for you to awaken further. Because once you have, let me share something with you, that once you have that spiritual awakening, and the spiritual awakening is when you recognize that you have an ego that one time. That's what that is. All right. So what happens though, if you have had a spiritual awakening and all this shit's going on, it's just God, it's just one fucking thing after another, like, oh God. Well, those are opportunities for you to awaken. And did you awaken for that one? No? Okay, well, we'll throw another one your way. We'll just keep throwing you things as opportunities to awaken until you just fucking awaken. Till you have a spiritual awakening around it. Because see, the universe is on your side. The universe wants you to awaken. The universe wants you to live in truth. And if you got all this shit going on, stop looking at it as all this shit. Say, look at all these opportunities to awaken. Look at all these opportunities to awaken. You say, well, Patrick, I'm worried about money. I'm worried about a place to live. I'm worried about all this stuff. And I'm like, but all that stuff is taken care of for you. And all you have to do is focus on awakening. I know it sucks. I know it might piss you off. And I know people will fight me on this. They often fight me on this. That all you have to do is awaken. And everything just sort of goes into place. You don't even have to worry about all that much. I mean, you're still going to have challenges. Because you ignored all of the opportunities to awaken, you might be in some trouble. Financial, emotional, living situation, relationship. You might be in a little bit of trouble because you've ignored all those opportunities to awaken before. But even that, climbing out of a hole, erasing debt, getting a new job, all that stuff, all opportunities to awaken. All of them, each and every one. The worst thing that has ever happened to you can turn out to be the best thing that ever happened to you. And you can say, well, I wish it hadn't happened that way. Or I wish I could have done things differently. Honey, that is regret. You can't. What's going on with you now? How can you look at everything going on in your life as an opportunity to awaken? Because on the other side of awakening, you see that everything just sort of happens. You don't have to think all that much. Things just sort of happen. You're just here, floating around. Just like, oh, you get impulses. Call this person. Pay this bill. Do this. Do that. Where's that shit coming from? Your higher self, if you want to say it. Or God, or I don't know. However, I don't know. Because the ego gets shown how stupid and dumb it actually is the more you awaken. And in a way, you have to kind of show the ego, hey, look, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. And you might say, well, Patrick, what about the people for bad stuff happens to people? People die. People get killed. People get in accidents. People die. Why are you looking at that stuff for evidence that something is wrong? That the universe is not doing what it should? Everybody has to die from something, okay? Death is inevitable. Every person is going to die. There you go. But I know that you're not going to die until it's your time to go. So, I mean, I'm not worried about dying. I could care less. Doesn't bother me. That's that die before you die. I mean, I've talked to people who are afraid of dying. They're deathly afraid of dying. And they do all this stuff to protect themselves and have all these paranoias and fears. And they're afraid to get into this or get into that. I mean, I'm a safe person. I don't do dangerous stuff. But at the same time, I'm not gripped with this paranoia and fear anymore. Because paranoia and fear come from the ego. They surely do. They surely do. But you're not going to die until it's your time to die. But if you die before you die, by the time your physical death arrives, you're like, hey, what's up? Ooh. Where am I going to be incarnated next? Or, you know what? I think I'm going to sit this one out. I'm just going to float on this cloud over here for a while. You know what? Can I be a rock for about 2,000 years and then I can decide what I want to do next? You are an eternal being. You're a forever being. You're part of this massive thing that your human brain and your human ego can't understand. And somebody might say, well, Patrick, how do you know all this? How do you know all this? Well, honey, I've died more than a few times. And I've also had really strange, bizarre experiences that other people have also had. And I'm just like, yeah. Sipping tea. Being present. Playing Silk Song. Let me put some Silk Song footage on the screen. Yep, just playing Silk Song. That's it, just playing Silk Song. I'm just a bug. Bug fighting for my life. Fighting battles, fighting wars, fighting for my life. You know, and Silk Song is a really difficult game. It's really difficult. And you die a lot in Silk Song. And sometimes Merrick has to help me with boss battles because I'm not as good at video games as he is. And sometimes when I'm playing that game, I'm like, you know what? I could be doing something more important. You know? I could be working on something. And then I remember that I have one job, and that is to awaken. And does this help me awaken? Well, it doesn't put me fast asleep. It doesn't help me not awaken, there is an extreme amount of joy when I get through a difficult part. Like last night, I was on this part where I had to bounce up all these balloons and like made me kind of nervous, kind of made me feel some type of way. But in a lot of ways, you can work a lot of shit out through games like this, through really difficult games. You know, there have been times that I wanted to give up on this game. I'm like, oh, I'll never finish this game. But you know what? If I get into a tough spot, I know who to call to help me out. Because my husband, he will come and fight a boss battle with me or for me. So you got to have people in your life who've got your back. And you have to have people in your life who support your awakening. Because the awakening is the only thing that matters. What could you do today that would help you awaken even more? I think taking the things that we don't want to do or that we feel like we have to do and converting them into opportunities for awakening. Let's say we feel bad over something. All we have to do is awaken. That's all we have to do. Let me go back to this spiritual awakening, this big spiritual awakening that you have. All right? You have that big spiritual awakening, and then you have another spiritual awakening. And you keep having spiritual awakenings around various subjects. And so you might have an awakening around eating right, or you might have an awakening around getting to the gym. You might have an awakening around not watching commercials. That was a big one for me. I don't need to be watching commercials. Commercials are low vibration stuff. Maybe you might have an awakening around smoking or drinking or taking psychedelics or vaping. You might decide that something you used to do is no longer something you want to do anymore. But you can't stop it until you have that awakening. And anybody who's come to me and said, Patrick, I want to stop this behavior. And I say, well, have you recognized it as something you don't want to do anymore? If you can recognize it as something you don't want to do anymore, it's on its way out. All you got to do is just kind of be patient and let it fall away naturally. Most of y'all know that I've had a tangle with Nutter Butters. Just to eat that shit. More Nutter Butters. But almost like being broken, like a spell was broken. I no longer eat Nutter Butters. I just don't. I lost the taste for them. People can do this. They lose the taste for alcohol. You lose the taste for stuff. But it's important to explore why you picked up that stuff in the first place. And then have an awakening around that. You'll never, ever stop awakening. You'll continue to have spiritual awakenings for the rest of your life. And isn't that amazing? So what is the end goal of awakening? Well, it's not that hard. The goal is not that hard. It's to just be present. And that's it. That's really the prize. That's really the point. I mean, if you're able to be present when you want to be present, congratulations. That's pretty much it. That doesn't seem so hard to achieve, does it? But man, some people have to go through a lot of shit to get to the point where they can say, you know what, I'm just going to be present. I'm just going to be present about this. I'm going to tap in to the slipstream of universal intelligence, source energy. Like it is like entering a slipstream. And I can get really present. I can get really present. Non-disturbed. Unbothered. What's the big deal? And there's a lot of power in that present moment. Like, you literally have the ability to almost stop time when you can get really present. But how much suffering did I have to go through to get there? The main thing in awakening is when you finally decide to no longer create suffering in your own life. You decide to no longer create suffering in your life and in the lives of others. That's what we call delusional. Delusional people create suffering in their life and in the lives of others. They are pulling the tiger's tail, poking the hornet's nest, looking for trouble. They're doing research online, looking for evidence for their favored beliefs. Or you can do the opposite thing. You can look for evidence against your favored beliefs. That's what I do. But sometimes it's just not even necessary anymore. You know, the truth has a vibration. The truth has a frequency. And you're like, man, this is all bullshit. I don't need to know all this stuff. I don't need to know most anything. What am I focused? What am I knowing right now? I'm knowing Silk Song. It's a really difficult game. It's a hard game. And sometimes I wonder why I'm playing it. But I keep playing it. Because at times, it's really, really rewarding. And I think that's a good metaphor for life and why we do this at all. You know, some people might wish they had gone back to sleep after they have an awakening. They might wish, ooh, I wish I could go back to sleep. Do you really, though? But let me give you a preview. The more you work on your ego issues, you start to get these paranormal powers. People don't often talk about it. I've seen Shunnamurti talk about it. I talk about it. But you start getting really prescient. You start being in the right place at the right time. You pick up the phone and you find out that people are calling you and you're like, oh, hey. You just think of people and they call. You run into old friends. Everything you want at the store just happens to be on the clearance rack. Things start going your way. And that can be kind of shocking for people if things have not gone their way. You think that you'll be single forever and that love has passed you by. And then you realize you're in love with one of your friends, or one of your friends is in love with you. Or you just run into your wife or your husband or your new girlfriend. It just has awakening just has this way of organizing things around you. And ask anybody who has made awakening their top priority. How much better things get. Even if on the outside to non-awakened people, it looks like they're failing. Or it looks like they're a failure. They're a failure. And to be honest, how many people would really pay attention to Eckhart Tolle if he was poor and living in a shack? Eckhart tends to appeal to people who think, oh, I awaken, I'm going to get rich, I'm going to get a bunch of money. You might, or you might not, but it won't even matter. It won't even matter. I don't think Eckhart really cares about it. I think he's just like, oh, I don't know. But this is a short episode today because I just want you to know that of all the things going on in the world, of all the things that you could be focused on, of all the psyops and the information wars and the alternative facts. The one thing to focus on is, how could this help me awaken even more? And that's it. Have a wonderful day. I love you so much. Bye-bye.
I have awoken to words unspoken. Now here's a token for you to have. Admitting my fault for all